So I did the same thing for Tokyo. Now the ghosting is pretty much the same where everybody's like, yeah, I'm down, let me know when you want to meet. Oh, Wednesday works for me, how about 2 p.m? 2 p.m. rolls around, nothing. I don't hear anything from them.
He's a phantom.
What's up, idols? It's CC Less Than 3. Welcome back to my channel. I do live streams every Friday and I've done like 8 or 9 so far. And one of my more recent streams is pretty much like an FAQ format. So I was pleasantly surprised that people were asking about anime. We started to talk about anime and I didn't realize that you guys were interested in Japan. Not saying that anime equates to Japan, but we started talking about anime and Japan in the chat. So I figured I could talk to you guys about maybe some of the differences I've noticed between Japan and Korea. Now, full disclaimer, I lived in Korea for over 2 years, but I was only in Japan for a little over a week. So I can't really go too in depth, but I figured this would be like a helpful, hopefully helpful video where I just talk about some of the immediate differences I've noticed like as a foreigner in Japan and in Korea. So if that is something you are interested in, then stay tuned. So first, me and my friend went to Tokyo back in August of 2017, which is like 3 years ago now. I know, right? Time flies. So yeah, as a teacher, you only get like a week's vacation per semester. So we took our vacation in August of 2017. So the first thing I think I noticed is Japan or Tokyo isn't as English friendly as Korea was. Pretty much everywhere in Korea, even in like the countryside, it had English and Korean, like Hangul writing. In Japan, well, Tokyo specifically, there really wasn't too much of that. It was straight up hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I'm sure I did not pronounce that right. So I actually had to rely heavily on my friend to get around because she knew a little bit of Japanese. Now, as far as getting around goes, in Korea, there's a ton of apps that are translated to English to help you get around that are more reliable than like Google Maps, for example. Like there's Naver and Kakao. Now this is back in 2017. There might be something new now, but we had to use Google Maps to get around. It was the only one we could find in English. I will definitely say that Google Maps is way better in Tokyo than it was in Seoul. Do not use Google Maps if you go to Korea. There's apps for you specifically as an English speaker. There's definitely some differences I've noticed in the place we stayed, like the style and the amenities. We had like a budget-friendly place, but it was still really nice. Like I wanted the traditional sliding doors like I see in the animes. So we got a room like that. But the thing that was interesting, the shower was outside. Let me explain. So it was like an apartment complex, sort of. Like an outdoor apartment complex. So at the one corner of the stairs was a yellow box that was like a shower. And that's where everybody showered. That was a really different experience for sure. I'm one of those people where I can't go to sleep unless I shower because I just feel like all of the day's filth is on me. So I would have my friend kind of spot me to make sure nobody was trying to watch or do anything while I was in the shower because it locks, you know, from the inside. But it did have like a window in the top, and if someone was crazy or thirsty enough, they could hang on a tree and maybe like peek in or something. So she kept checking for me like, you're good, you're good. It was funny. So in the bathroom at our Airbnb, we definitely had like an older place because there was just a toilet in a room, and then the sink you had to step outside to wash your hands. But there was like a huge handle that you had to pull to flush the toilet that was like dangling above the toilet. So that was interesting. What's crazy is the first full day in Tokyo, there was an earthquake. I remember my friend was in the shower, we were about to start our day, and things were shaking a little bit, but I thought it was like a big truck driving by because the windows rattled a little, and I was like, what was that? So I googled recent earthquakes and I saw that we just had a 5.0 magnitude in Tokyo. So I was like, I haven't even been here 24 hours and we already got an earthquake. I've been in Korea 2 years, the ground never moved. I go to Japan for over a week and the ground shook. As far as transportation goes, in Korea you use a T-money card. In Japan you use a Suica card, or it's S-U-I-C-A. Transportation is way more expensive in Tokyo than it is in Korea. Oh my god. I think most of the money I spent was on just the train, getting around. We took a taxi one time. It was maybe a 7-minute ride and me and my friend split it. We each paid like $7. Insane. Getting around in Tokyo is definitely way more expensive than it is in Korea. Speaking of transportation, you know, I always talk about creeps in Korea and perverts. They are nationwide, they're worldwide, they're everywhere. I remember seeing a little sign on the subway in Tokyo that was for, like, they have certain hours that are for female only. Like, the car is only for girls, because my friend explained to me that when they get really crowded, I think she said they were called chikan in Japanese, I don't remember. But she said that, you know, when girls are going to school and stuff and they have these uniforms, which are skirts, they would feel hands fondling and they didn't know where it was coming from because it was so crowded. So there were certain rush hours where certain cars on the train are only for females. That was fascinating. You know how I am constantly complaining about being stared at in Korea? People look at you like they've never seen a foreigner or a brown person, I'm not sure what it is, but they stare hard in Korea. Not in Tokyo, not Tokyo, Japan and Tokyo. I remember we were on the train, it was this little boy, he had to be like 6 or 7, staring really hard at me and my friend. And the guy he was with, I don't know if he was his uncle, his dad, his brother, whoever, he like whispered in his ear, he looked to us, bowed, and then looked away, the little boy. So that was the one time I remember being stared at in Japan. That is my favorite difference. In Japan, they mind their business, they're not worried about you. Maybe they're more used to seeing foreigners because it's such like a business city and like a financial hub, I'm not sure, but I never got stared at. That was the one time. It was a cute little boy, so I wasn't even mad. Everybody else was just minding their business, looking around at everything but me, and I loved it. What's actually kind of interesting is me and my friend went to the Asakusa temple, and we could actually tell who was Korean and who wasn't based on how they were dressed and how they looked. We could tell by like the girls' makeup style, we could tell by like the dresses they were wearing, and then we get closer and hear them speaking Korean, we're like, whoa, we were right. We made it like a game where we could spot Korean people. Like, even the haircuts are a little bit different. I feel like Japanese haircuts are more anime cut, if that makes any sense. Like spiky still, even though like I remember that being a thing in like 2006. So one of the things I also did, I do this pretty much wherever I go, where I would hop on Tinder.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I'm dumb, I know. I like to try to meet some of the locals for like the time I'm in a place, to maybe they can show us around, they can help us out. Like even when I went to Busan, I met up with a guy from Tinder because I'd never been to Busan before, and I was hoping to have like a local or a native show us around. So I did the same thing for Tokyo. Now the ghosting is pretty much the same, where everybody's like, yeah, I'm down, let me know when you want to meet. Oh, Wednesday works for me, how about 2 p.m? 2 p.m. rolls around, nothing. I don't hear anything from them.
He's a phantom.
So in that regard, in my experience, Korea and Japan aren't that different. Ghosting is ghosting. But again, like this is all just from things that I have a memory of or witnessed. It seems like the guys in Japan don't really do the makeup thing like they do in Korea. Like in Korea, it's not a weird thing if you see a guy wearing blush or lipstick or mascara or whatever. In Japan, I didn't really notice too much of that. They didn't really do the whole flower boy thing. Those are pretty much some of the main differences I've noticed between the guys in Korea versus Japan. I think if I had to like go off of physical appearances too for the guys in Korea versus the guys in Japan, I think personally I'm a bit more attracted to the Korean guys as opposed to the Japanese guys. Even when I was on Tinder, I was just kind of like, no, 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 nah. I don't like the overly flower boy thing that seems to be popular in Korea. I do appreciate more of the masculine energy that I get from the guys in Japan. So if I could combine them two, it'd be gravy. In my experience, it seems like people in Korea are better with English than they were in Japan.
Oh.
So, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
In Japan, there weren't too many people who were like, hello, like they were kind of just nod and smile, as opposed to in Korea where they go like, oh, have a good day, see you, thank you, bye-bye. They didn't really say all of that in Japan so much. They kind of more just nodded. They weren't really so inclined to use English as they are in Korea. The biggest thing that I had to get used to was also the opposite road driving. Like I'm crossing the street, it is my reflex to look left, and then the car comes this way and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta look this way. So that was fun. People drive on the opposite side of the road and on the opposite side of the car. It just felt like everything was backwards, and that was really cool. That was a different perspective. I think another major difference I noticed is how clean the streets are. Not saying that Korea's dirty, but in Seoul, there's definitely a bit of trash in some areas. Tokyo was spotless. It was crazy. There was never anything blowing in the streets. Just, it was nothing. It was so clean. And I remember even like getting on the bus. I talk about transportation a lot because I think that's like one of the major differences. In Korea, I am constantly warning you guys about ajima elbows because they are severe. And people do line up for the bus in Korea, but in Japan, in Tokyo, it was like a single file, smooth, quiet line. Nobody pushed you, nobody elbowed. It was very calm and very orderly. I miss Japan. By the way, I did take a poll to talk about overall differences in Korea versus Japan and then clubbing in Korea versus Japan. So that'll be next, the clubbing one, because I think more of an introductory to the differences makes a little more sense. And even with the polls that I took, it was pretty much 50-50. I'll just talk about overall differences first, and then I'll get to the clubbing differences in the next video. If this one gets enough likes, I'll make that video. So yeah, as far as the currency goes, the way I kind of help keep a mental track of what I'm spending and how it would equate to like US dollars. In Korea, you take off like the last 3 zeros approximately. So if you buy something that's 3,000 won, that's like approximately $3 US. With Japan, it's like the last 2 zeros. So if you buy something that's like 300 yen, it's like $3. Yeah. As far as like overall safety in Japan versus Korea, I think it's the same. I felt very, very safe in both places, where even we were outside walking around Shibuya at like 4 a.m. or near the Imperial Palace with like no one else around. I felt perfectly fine and perfectly safe. Just like in Korea. Anywhere I go in Korea, I feel safe. Anywhere I went in Tokyo, because I didn't really get to go outside of Tokyo, but I felt very safe in both of these places. So yeah, I really, really like Japan. I felt more normal there than I do in Korea because it's really nice to exist and just not be so pointed out and so stared at for once. I'd have to say, if you're a foreigner like me and you kind of want to travel and maybe be a little more low-key, I think you prefer Japan to Korea. They don't stare at you, they don't bother you. They're just like, you're a foreigner, cool. I'm not. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to telling you guys about the clubbing differences because we went to Shibuya, we checked out some hip hop places, many EDM places. If you guys want to see that video, let me know with the likes. We'll set this goal maybe to like 2,000 likes. If you guys want to see clubbing in Japan versus Korea, yeah, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, those are the main differences I can think of. If there's any you guys want me to address in like a part 2, like how do you feel about this as a foreigner in Korea versus Japan, just let me know because I'm just trying to talk about some major things that kind of popped up in my head that I remembered. So if you guys have anything in particular that you want me to talk about for a part 2, then please let me know in the comments and let's get it popping. So yeah, I think that's where I'll leave this video. I hope this was helpful or entertaining to you guys. If you enjoy it, please leave a like because that lets me know what type of videos I should put out. If you like this, like it. Let me see. Dance on the little like button right there. So thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.